Hello again and welcome back to Mimsy Park and another episode of Manic Movie Reviews. Today we're actually doing a review on a movie that was suggested to me by one of my viewers, which is really cool. I really appreciate that. However, I went back to the video to go see who had left the comment so that I could tag them and everything and give them a shout out, and I can't seem to find the comment on there anymore, and I also lost a subscriber at that same time, so I'm thinking maybe they deleted their account. I'm not really sure what happened there. However, if you are still watching, thank you for the recommendations. They gave me about 6 movies to choose from. One of them was Devil, which I've seen already, and I wanted to do a review on a video that I have not, or on a movie that I have not seen before. And so I went through the trailers for all of these movies that were on there, and I settled on 2017's Rupture, starring Noomi Rapace, I think is how you pronounce her name. I went on Wikipedia to look up the pronunciation. It's a very odd name. She was Dr. Elizabeth Shaw in Prometheus, is probably where you're gonna remember her from best. And it's also got Michael Chiklis, who's been in S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in American Horror Story. And it also has Peter Stormare, who is probably one of my favorite that guy actors. And what I mean by that is every time you see him, you're like, oh, I know that guy, but you don't know his name. Well, his name is Peter Stormare. Here's Peter Stormare's face. There you go. So now we're all caught up. We know who everyone is. And this was a movie that, from the trailer and seeing Peter Stormare and Noomi Rapace in it, I was actually pretty stoked about this movie. And even in the beginning, I was very excited about this movie. I thought this was going to be a lot of fun. I knew it was a sci-fi horror going into it. I love sci-fi horror. I also try to keep my expectations for sci-fi horror down a little bit because they don't tend to be award-winning movies all the time, or even most of the time, I would say. But this one really did start off really promising in the sense of you do get kind of a backstory into her and her son and everything. She's divorced, she's raising a kid on her own for the most part. She's a single mom anyway. And she's supposed to go meet up with her friends to go skydiving, and she ends up getting kidnapped and taken away to a facility. And I knew right away going into this that it was probably going to have some weird aspect to it with it being a sci-fi horror movie. And I spent so much of this movie really trying to figure out what was wrong. And I think really what I figured out what was wrong was that the script is super clunky. I mean, it's full of plot holes. Like you've got door stoppers holding up steel reinforced doors. You've got this group of people working in a facility where all of the electronics look pretty outdated for the most part. All the scenes where she's held in this room seem to go on for a long time. Like there's a lot of time spent in this one room where she's attached to this gurney, and people keep coming in and they keep going out. The whole thing feels very weird, and what I think I figured out, you have phenomenal acting supported by a very, very clunky script. And that's really where I think the biggest issue with this movie comes in for me, is that Noomi Rapace gives an amazing performance in this movie. Michael Chiklis doesn't give a terrible performance, but he's also given a lot of weird dialogue. And then you've got these weird goggles that they're wearing that there's never any explanation for. I will say there are certain things that stand out at the very beginning that if you waited out until the end, which is not a very satisfying ending, by the way, things do get a little bit explained, like the lighting, like why the lighting is the way that it is. Because if you watch the movie, the lighting feels very like, okay, they did this to make it stylistic, but it just kind of stands out strangely. I don't know. There's just something very, very odd about it to me. A lot of that stuff does get explained later on, but so much of this movie, there's so many plot holes. A lot of things that seem like plot holes actually do end up getting explained at a certain point, but they're so glaring that you spend such a big part of this movie sitting there going, what is happening right now? What is happening? Because you do have really good performances given by Noomi Rapace, Michael Chiklis, and Peter Stormare. Peter Stormare's in there a little bit, not a ton, but he is in there, and so you do get these great performances, but something just feels off the whole time you're watching this movie. If you like sci-fi horror, it's not terrible. Do not go into this movie with high expectations, but it is not a terrible movie. It's just not a good movie. I won't be buying it, that's for sure. Thank God it was on Amazon Prime, which I want to talk about that for a second, because on Amazon Prime, you have two options. You have one where you can watch it now, and then you have another one where you can rent it, and I don't understand that, but I digress. This isn't about Amazon Prime. This is about Rupture. The whole concept is a very cool concept. The special effects makeup is actually pretty cool. The eyes that you see, the makeup on the skin that you see at a certain point, all very cool. The CGI special effects, not so much. Like when these people do Rupture, they look like the Elephant Man, and I don't know what they were thinking. Like, I don't know if they just created this in the special effects department and then sent it off and were like, yep, run with it, or if nobody reviewed it. I'm not sure what really happened there, but it's pretty bad. Noomi Rapace's character has a huge fear of spiders, and she really sells the fear of spiders. There is the scene where she has a helmet on and then spiders are crawling all over her face, which I had an issue with because she's screaming, and then while she's screaming, they're just moving past her mouth. Like, there's no moving in and out of the mouth, and I really feel like you could have built up the tension and made this scene even more intense if you either had her screaming and she couldn't scream because there's spiders in there, she doesn't want them in her mouth, or you get some close-ups in there of the spiders actually in her mouth. Like, you could have made these scenes that are supposed to be very intense a lot more intense. It's almost like the intensity and the tension is supposed to be implied, rather than actually showing you the intensity, which is pretty much what's supposed to kind of, you know, make it intense for the viewer. That's how we know what she's going through. But it's just, again, just so much of this movie just falls flat in the sense of the script, in the sense of expectation, in the sense of really everything kind of in general. This movie just really falls flat. If you are a Futurama fan, and you remember the scam aliens from, I want to say it was The Beast with a Billion Backs. It was from one of the Futurama movies. They do this thing in this movie where they rub faces to, I guess, sense DNA, sense information. I don't really know what's going on there. And it reminded me so much of the scam aliens from Futurama that I couldn't help but see that for the entirety of this movie. It was just such a weird way of letting these aliens get information and figure stuff out about people. Nothing in the context of Noomi Rapace's character really comes back to play a part, other than the fact to tell the audience and to tell her character later on they've been watching her. We see things that happen at the very beginning of the movie that they reference at the end to let her know we've been watching you, but other than that, it really doesn't come into play that often. And that to me is, you know, another big part. It's like, you know, you gave this context to this character, but it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter because this stuff's gonna happen to her, and that's what matters. The ending is super weird. It's very jarring to go because at a certain point she ruptures. Obviously, that's the whole point of this, is that she ruptures, and right after she ruptures, it just cuts right back to her at home. It cuts right back to her at home. Her son notices something weird is happening, and then, you know, the aliens come. They find out that she's fertile, and they want to capture her son to see if her son will also rupture. It's all very stereotypical. Nothing about this is groundbreaking. There's nothing groundbreaking about this movie to me. Not that every movie has to be groundbreaking, but I don't know if you can tell just by the way I'm reviewing this, it's so hard to say the movie in its entirety sucks because the acting is really good. It actually is very good. The story just sucks. It just sucks. The idea was good. The concept of it was good, but it's so confined in its storytelling and it's so confined in its environment that I really feel like the movie had promise as far as where it could have gone, and they just played it safe. The budget's not big. It was like a $17 million budget, which I know 17 million is a lot of money. That is a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but when it comes to making a movie, especially one that's going to have special effects, especially one that's going to have pretty, you know, well-known actors in it, it's not a lot of money. It felt like it was confined within itself, and it never got a chance to really stretch or rupture. It falls short in pretty much everything except the acting. And I will say, even like the cinematography was pretty good. The editing of this movie is good. Really, where this movie falls short is in the story. And by story, I don't mean just the plot. I mean just the way it's presented, the way it's hashed out, the way it's executed. All felt very weak. It all feels like you have a lot of really strong elements sitting on a very, very weak foundation. Like a very weak foundation. It's on Amazon Prime. It's 2017's Rupture. If you happen to see it, give it a watch. Just don't expect much. It was not... I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to see Noomi Rapace, go watch Prometheus. But as I said, I would not recommend Rupture. If you skip over it, you're really not going to be missing much. There's nothing really stand out about this movie except the performances. But again, they're so covered up and overshadowed by the clunkiness of the dialogue and the writing that the acting really, it's not enough to save this movie. I saw there were a couple new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. If you are liking the videos, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you're not liking the videos, hit a thumbs down. Give me some suggestions in the comments. I'm always willing to switch things up. And also, more movie recommendations. I love seeing the community actually get involved. I would really like this to be a community effort. And I would love for it to eventually be movie reviews based off of what other people want to see me review. So, leave me a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs down. Leave suggestions, constructive criticism down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you have not hit that subscribe button before. And I will see you guys next time.